Holla ballers, what's going on? It's Preacher and welcome to your 5.4 destruction gameplay guide. The hints and tips that you're going to pick up in here should hopefully make you better on the damage meters and hopefully give you a better experience in game. That is the plan. Anyways, so I've decided to do a voiceover after gameplay with this one. I did ultimately queue for Garrosh Hellscream in order to show you various different tips on AoEing and whatnot, but I did end up doing the Engineer as our mages refused to, which led to ultimately massive amounts of downtime. Nonetheless, on with it. What I'm going to be showing you is various clips of things that I'm demonstrating for you, and the little tidbits are mainly pushing into your mind the idea of holding back and keeping embers ready to go for lots of occasions, and also looking for places where your embers can work for you and generate many more. First and foremost, let's talk about Shadowburn. Shadowburn is an ability a lot of people get wrong in how to use it, especially when there's a lot of ads involved, alright? So Shadowburn is your execute ability, and as soon as we hit below 20%, what happens is we tend to go, oh my god, I can Shadowburn, yeah! And we start drilling the boss like a little turret, we use all our embers, and then we're kind of spent. We're kind of prematurely ejaculating there. We don't want to do that. Shadowburn actually works in a way that if you let it happen at the end of the life of the mob, so he's just about to die, and then you turret your Shadowburns in, you're going to get refunded those embers, and then they're going to come back and allow you to do some crazy things. This is why using Shadowburn while AoEing is a wonderful tool, because those things are going to be hitting incredibly hard. Much harder than your AoE Incinerate, much harder than your Rain of Fire, much harder than your Conflag and your Immolate. A single Shadowburn can make up for all that damage. Now you multiply that by the various ads that you will see about in certain fights, such as this one, and what you can do is put out sort of 6 or 7, 8 or 9 Shadowburns one after the other, depending on how quickly those mobs are dying. This allows you to make up considerable amounts of damage without padding. Okay, padding is a big problem with Destro Warlocks. A lot of people like to pad. I talked about Paragons of the Calaxy a little bit in the first guide, as that is a big place where you'll definitely see things like multiple Chaos Bolts flying around, which serve no purpose whatsoever. And you have to be a little bit careful not to waste your embers in such a fashion, which is why we need to talk about Havoc. Havoc is an ability that a lot of newer Warlocks, especially those who are playing Destro, is a relatively easy spec to play. Will quite simply see Havoc come off cooldown, notice there are 2 things up, and then go, oh, I can Havoc, let's go, go, go. In a lot of situations, that's absolutely fine. Obviously, firing off 2 Chaos Bolts hits much harder than 1, and if that is going to contribute to the fight in some fashion, then you're not particularly doing anything wrong. What you do have to be careful of course, is using that in the wrong way and not saving it for particular moments. Desecrated Weapon is one of those moments, okay? Desecrated Weapon is going to benefit more from you having Havoc up than using it on, say, an ad with very little health left, where you can pull off a Shadowburn, get your shards refunded, your burning embers, I'm going to be calling them shards, I apologize, old school Warlock terminology, and then going ahead and not having Havoc when you need it on things like Desecrated Weapon. Havoc is a wonderful tool. Havoc is something that you should be using whenever possible, but also bearing in mind what's going on in the fight and where you can get best use to help that fight with the use of Havoc. Alright, so don't go crazy. A few other things to put down, such as your portal and your demonic portal and your teleport, okay? I didn't really mention this a lot, but it's so useful. It's actually one of the key features of bringing a Warlock to a raid, and every time I go into, such as an LFR, to do a guide for you guys, I don't really see a lot of demonic portals being used when they're extremely useful. Please try and make good use of your demonic portal and your teleport in order to benefit the raid in such a way that you can actually help transfer an entire raid out of position. Again, Desecrated Weapon is a wonderful idea there where you should get your portal down. Refresh it if you can, but don't sacrifice your own DPS too much in order to be a benefit to the raid. When it comes to you actually using your Chaos Bolt, it's very important that we do follow 2 simple rules. 1, do not overcap your burning embers. If you're sat on 4 burning embers and you're still casting Incinerates, Conflags and Immolates, you're doing it wrong, alright? But that doesn't mean that as soon as you have a burning ember that you go ahead and fire it. Again, this idea of just slowing everything down, making best use of what you can do. We're looking for things. What you'll notice is things like my tell me when, showing me when Skull Banner is up. Skull Banner, a dramatic increase in DPS if I get the Chaos Bolts in time. You'll often see me just sitting on Embers, waiting, firing off the odd Chaos Bolt so I don't cap, and then as soon as the Skull Banner or whatever goes down, I'm firing off so many. You're generally aiming to just keep a nice level of burning embers in between Dark Soul and then watching for things like Skull Banner or anything that's going to make a dramatic difference towards your Chaos Bolts. Alright? Because there's so much damage that you can actually escalate their damage by significant amounts. You're talking hundreds of thousands of extra damage just by waiting. Just wait and slow this bastard down, okay? You have this luxury as a Warlock that other classes would only dream of, which is just being able to wait for the perfect time to fire off your hardest hitting spells. Every other class in the game does not have that luxury, so make the use of it. Make good use of it on all occasions. Next thing I want to just bring up briefly is the ability to move while casting. It's something I haven't talked about in a long time, actually. It's a good time to bring it back up, is that you should always be casting. I've seen many people compare themselves to other players, and it's ultimately whichever class casted more. Kind of a traditional hero thing that we talked about amongst raid leaders is that our better players simply had more casts than the other guy. You have the ability with Kill Jaden's Cunning to continuously cast on demand. You never have to stop generating resources and doing damage. Take advantage of that. Learn your fights. Learn when you're going to be knocked back, disrupted, anything like that, and then get ready for Incinerate's casting, because you will just keep DPSing when everyone else comes to a stop. This all pushes you ahead in being a good player. Beyond that, just keep an eye on your conflags. Keep that immolate ticking, and please, for the love of God, ensure you're using Chaos Bolt when it's necessary, and the same as with Havoc to get the most bang for your fucking buck out there. Alright guys, see you later. Bye.